folks, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Natasha and I do book things here. Today's video is going to be my monthly wrap up for the month of August, where, as you can tell from the title down below, I read 4 books, which is low for me, but I kind of want to talk to you guys a little bit about what I've been doing in August, why I only read 4 books. So it's just gonna get darker and lighter and darker and darker and lighter and lighter and darker all throughout this video, so that's fine. So August was an interesting month for me. I returned back to work after taking that like 2 weeks off for stress leave basically, and I have been sort of approaching my day-to-day life in a much more like easy breezy way. While I don't like going to work, like I don't think, you know, unless you were really lucky you'd like going to work, but I've walked into that place with a much better mindset. And in general, my baseline happiness has been a little bit higher than normal, which is amazing. It's something I've been struggling with for a while, as much like my day-to-day happiness levels, my depression and whatnot, and it's been doing pretty good, which is oddly enough one of the reasons why I only read 4 books this month. And I'll sort of tell you why. I'm thinking of making a favorites video for August for things that aren't bookish related, just because I have introduced, you know, back a hobby of mine, which is like creating art and stuff like that, which I haven't done for years. For those of you who might be new to my channel or new to me, I did go to art school when I was 19, like 11 years ago. I dropped that out of school, but like I never really necessarily like fell out of love for art. I just stopped doing it because art school ruined it for me. And just recently I've been messing around, like not in a professional way, not in any way other than like simply practicing and messing around, but I've gotten back into art again and it's been really good for me. And when I get back into a hobby, I dive deep and kind of push everything else out. And so that's kind of what I did for reading this month, is I kind of just pushed reading out in place of art. That's okay. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about the 4 books that I've read. In the last week of August is when I've read these 4 books, so you can tell the first whole like bit of August I just dive deep into a different hobby and focusing on myself and my own sort of mental health and yeah, just like taking it fucking easy and chilling out. That's how my month went. And yeah, I don't have stats for these 4 books. I have yet to enter them into my spreadsheet, but you know, like I said, we're taking things slow. We're taking things 1 book at a time. Also, I will have an interesting video up about how I am giving myself permission to skip, maybe DNF a Stephen King. That's new for me. I'm trying to read King in publication order, but I got stuck on a book and I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to skip that one. I'm gonna move on to a next Stephen King, and what do you know, I've read 2 and I'm in the process of listening to the audiobook of the 3rd one. Past that one that I skipped. So yeah, one of the first books that I read this month was Thinner by Stephen King, and this is Stephen King writing as Richard Bachman. I think this is the last time that he wrote as Bachman before he killed him, before he died by cancer of the pseudonym. That's a really interesting thing. I'll have to talk about that in a video. This is a shorter Stephen King, which is exactly what I needed. I did not need to look at a book that was 900 pages. I just needed something that was small. This is, you know, 339 pages, pretty average sized book. And this follows a man named Billy, who he gets touched by a gypsy. Now, that is the term that they use in this book. I don't really like that term because I do know that it is offensive to people and it's not a term that you really should be using nowadays, but in this book that is the term used, and it's used heavily all throughout the book. So if that is a term that you're not comfortable with, just a heads up on that. I'm gonna say that just for the sake of this book. But he is touched by a gypsy traveling caravan type of people, and he ends up getting this sort of curse put on him where he is losing weight rapidly, like really rapidly. And one of the reasons why I think I sped through this book was all of the chapters start off with his weight, and so it's like 245, 172, 131, 118, and as he's dropping down weight, and you kind of are like, okay, well, this buddy gonna die soon, you know? But there's an interesting story there, and there's interesting background as to why this curse came into place and how he's gonna break it. I thought it was pretty good. It read really fast. There is definitely Stephen King language in this that's not appropriate now. Like I said, the use of the word gypsy, also a lot of like racial slang terms that I don't like reading. I kind of get it for the time, I guess. It's not like the best book, so I think I gave it like around a 3.75 basically, or 3.5. Not my favorite King, but I'm happy to have read it and sort of added it to my checklist of things to sort of move on from, because, you know, I get to move on to bigger and better books. Also, in the month of August, I pulled my neck really bad. I have this like really wicked bruise. I dropped a shelf on my, oh, you can't see it. Oh, there it is. I dropped a shelf on myself at work, and that hurt really bad. Metal shelving things. Dropped one of those on myself. And then immediately that night pulled my neck and shoulders and couldn't really move my head for like a week. And I'm still like a little bit of a robot. That's fun. Yeah, and then the next book that I read is another Stephen King. This is one that I wasn't able to find until I guess they re-released it. That is Stephen King's Cycle of the Werewolf, and there is illustrations in this, which is really cool. This is a really tiny, almost like short story novella kind of thing, and it's like 127 pages. I basically picked this up. I had a gift card still from Christmas for books and went into the bookstore, saw this, and was like, hey, I've been looking for you. I don't have it. Also, someone on Twitter did message me and say, hey, did you not know that this exists? And so thank you to that person, because of that I did sort of recognize it when it was in the bookstore. This is a very short bunch of stories that does follow a werewolf, and it is set by months, so there's 12 different chapters: January, February, March, April. It's very fast. It definitely deserves a reread. Like, I feel like I just read it like way too fast, because I'm used to reading big King where I'm like reading 100 pages a day. This was like so fast. I read it in about an hour. It's interesting, but I'm not gonna lie to you, my favorite part about this is the illustrations that are in it. They are fantastic. And again, I've been back into art this month, so I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, the illustrations definitely caught my attention, almost in a way a little bit more than the book itself. But there's really not much I can say about that other than it does follow the cycle of the werewolf, which is not a werewolf riding a bicycle on a marathon. So, you know, if that's what you're expecting, that's not what it is. And overall, I think I'm giving that one like a 3. And then August was supposed to be sort of arc August. Yeah, I didn't read any except for one. No, I lied, 2. The next 2 are arcs. And I think that's another video I might make, is about like our arcs homework. You know, our arcs too much pressure, because I went to BEA, went to New York, and you know, I got the chance to receive like a lot of new books, and oh boy, in a way does it feel like homework when you're a mood reader. And I don't want to seem ungrateful or anything like that. It just is that sort of nagging pressure of like, read me, you have to read me soon, and I'm like, no, you're not my real dad. Yeah, I just felt like, I guess, sort of too pressured to read them, and then I didn't this month. But I did read 2. I don't know how I'm gonna also read like 11 September arcs and 14 October ones, but that's fine. Anyway, this is a graphic novel. This is No Ivy League by Hazel Newlevant, and did meet them and get this book signed when I was at BookCon BEA, and it's kind of sad because I did not like this. And I hate saying that when you actually like meet an author and they signed your stuff and you have to then review it. Like, it's difficult, right? But I didn't care for this. I gave it 2 stars mostly for the art, because I again, as I'm becoming more of an artist, or sort of like re-establishing myself as an artist, I can appreciate graphic novels and art, because you know the time it takes to make something like this. However, I did not like the story in this at all. This follows a 17-year-old named Hazel who takes this summer job clearing ivy from a forest, and there she realizes that all the other kids that are also doing this job are at-risk teens, and she learns a lot about different culture and stuff like that. But it also reads as if she didn't really learn anything. It's kind of like forced learning. It just seems like underdeveloped, I think, as a plot. There's some things in here that were like questionable with like the subject of race. Also, she has a crush on like her older, I don't want to say camp counselor, but the guy, job boss, I guess. And she has these like weird like older guy fantasies even though she's underage. Listen, been there, but like also kind of weird. I don't know, it just didn't seem very well fleshed out, and some of it was just kind of cringy. So unfortunately I'm giving it a 2. And yeah, I mean, I know some people who DNF this, so I'm gonna put that down now. And then the last book that I read for the month of August is another arc, and this happened to be one of my favorite books that I've read of the entire year. The sort of hard-hitting contemporary to max the hard-hitting contemporary. This is sort of hard-hitting in a lot of ways. This is The Year They Fell by David Kriesman. And I didn't know about this book at all. Again, this is one that I just sort of kept when a bunch of arcs were being handed out. And thank God I did, because this one was kind of wild. It says, the worst moment of your life can help determine who you really are. And so this is a group of 5 friends who were really close as preschoolers, and their parents were like really good friends and very, very, very close. But unfortunately, now that they're in high school, all of their parents die in a plane crash. So if you cannot read about parents' death and how to handle that after, how to handle the grief after that, this is not the book for you, because oh boy, oh boy, it talks about grieving parent death, how to take care of like siblings after, how to move on with your life, addiction, just so many things. There's sexual assault in this as well. This book is like multi-layered and intense and deep, and these like woven friendships all together. It's beautiful and so hard to read, and I cried and I really, really liked it, and so I gave it 5 stars. So if you are looking for a hard-hitting contemporary, this came out July 30th, so this is actually July arc, my bad, but this should be out now, and I do recommend it if you're looking for a hard-hitting contemporary and you can handle that subject matter, because definitely check out some of the triggers for this, because this dealt with a lot of stuff and I don't want anybody to get upset at that. But this was one of the best books that I've read of the year, so pleasantly and happily surprised by that. Oh, and I gave that 5 stars in case I didn't mention that already. But yeah, those are the 4 books that I read in the month of August. Already in September, starting when I'm recording this at September 1st, I'm in the middle of like 4 books right now, and I'm really liking all of them. So I have a feeling that September hopefully I'm going to read more. I do have Contemporary-a-thon coming up, and so that's really going to push me to read more, and I do have a lot of arcs that I need to finish. You may see that in that none of my TBR star picks were read. I'll get into that in that video, but you know, life happens, and I'm not gonna like police myself for not wanting to read, I guess. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below if your reading month was better, worse than mine. Did you read anything? I don't know. Did you try to read 50 Shades of Grey and did it put you in a slump for 3 weeks? Let me know. Hopefully you guys like this video, and until my next one, I'll talk to all you soon. Bye.